sales at Elenia in Finland, and will speak about the utilization of AMM in smart grid development. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and good morning for everyone. If the previous speaker said that he had a good setup, have a little bit similar questions and challenges. So I come from the distribution company called Elenia Verkko Oy from Finland, and before I go to the actual topic, I briefly tell a little bit about our company, because the company in general is quite new. Elenia Verkko was established in 10th of January this year, and but before that we were part of Vattenfall. So if you probably recognize Vattenfall much more better than the Elenia. But the Elenia is a result of the transaction of Vattenfall and our new owners. Elenia Verkko Oy is basically a rural area company. We are the second biggest DSO in Finland, with 400,000 customers, 410,000 customers roughly. And our turnover is a little bit over 200 million. Our business model is strongly based on partnerships, and as previous presenter told about the services what are offered in the markets, so our business model is based on those services very heavily. For example, what comes to the data transfer or metering information, we have a partnership from Telia Sonera and etc. for those services. As I said, we are a rural area company. We have approximately 160 meters network per customer, and this means that we have an urgent need to develop our services so that we can actually provide better quality of delivery for our end customers. We have we have noticed roughly 10 years ago that we need to have more intelligence in the network, that we know exactly what happens in a customer side. And that's why we see that the customer has a key role what comes to the smart grid development. And now when I'm talking about the customer, I mean the end customer, the consumers. And this is the way how we see the cycle of development, if we can say it so. That normally, this is the way how it goes, that if we screw up here, the customer will interact with the media interacts with the politicians interact with the regulator, and regulator set up new laws. And this has been seen in Finland like 8 months ago when we had 2 big storms. But on the other hand, we also see that if we manage to put our focus here and develop the services develop the services of smart grids so that the customer can get the benefit out of it, we have much more room to breathe and develop the business in the best possible way. Okay, now we should go in the topic. I have a few roadmaps here. The first one is showing the smart grid from our perspective, what kind of benefits we have gained for the customers. We see that we started the smart grid development with the first AMR pilot for the consumer customers in 1999. And that was the trigger for the first generation AMR rollout, which was 35,000 meter points in our network using PLC technique, and the only target was that we get the meter value for the invoicing without going into the site. It was very big success. After that we made a second generation AMR rollout with all our customers, so all 400,000 customers have the AMR meter at the moment. And in this second generation we noticed that we need also the hourly values, the quality information, alarms from those meters. And I could say that this year 2008 was more or less the break-even point from our understanding that the meter, the traditional meter, is not just a meter anymore. It's actually very vital network component what comes to the distribution business and what comes to the developing the electricity markets in general. The first smart grid service among the consumption-based invoice was the outage information, the SMS messages what we send in, when a customer has an outage. When we launched the service, the reception was, let's say, it was quite neutral. Some of the customers think that it's very good service to get the SMS from the summer cottage if there is an outage. Some of the customers saw that it doesn't make sense. We know that we have an outage. Our lights doesn't work. But in let's say when the time goes by, we found it out, and a very good example was in the storms in Finland to the end of 2011, when we had 71,000 customers registered in this service. It means that when we had roughly 100,000 of our customers without electricity, we did not get these phone calls for customers, and they were asking that when the electricity comes back, because we sent it SMS messages for them that we know that you have outage, estimated time for the repair is this and this, and then we of course we know this when the customer should have electricity back, so we also inform that. So it was actually very good service, and it has been also in a public discussion that should this kind of services be in like a normal service for the DSOs. The second smart grid service what we launched, how we see it, is the energy reporting service. For all our 400,000 customers, they can get log in the internet and see their consumption level consumption in hourly level. And the delay, the data is 2 days old. So it's not real-time data, but it's quite close data. And in the same time, we combine some information about the weather, temperature, etc. I have one more detailed slide about it later on. The coming services, also in this exhibition, we have the smart home section, and we have some level of activity in that area as well, but as a distribution company, it's more or less that we are seeking our role. What is our role in a smart home? Or do we have a role? We see that we have now 400,000 smart meters installed. We have some kind of capability to control some of the loads. There could be some benefits also for the smart home techniques. The network quality here means that for customer perspective, we want to increase transparency. One of the key messages from the customer side is that they don't trust us. They don't trust the big utility companies because they don't tell what they do. We have AMR meters in place. We have a good possibility to show, for example, the quality information in some, probably not in a voltage level information, but some other form. Is the quality decent or not? What is your outage log or what else? We also see that the e-mobility has a strong connection, of course, to smart grids, but how to put it in words? It's not just charging the e-vehicles. It's much more. How we utilize this information. Do we know when cars are charging? Do we know how much reserve load we could have in a net installed at one time? So we see that it's coming in probably something in 2016. It could be the time when we have a capability to somehow to utilize that. Okay, does it work? We also have here the small scale generation. It's already possible today to log in to our network, and we can measure the consumption and the production with the same meter. But the challenge is more or less that at the moment we do not have those small scale generation plants or units. In Finland, I know, for example, in Germany it's a totally different world. But in Finland it's coming, and we do not have that much experience. But some pilot cases we have had, and we noticed that we can take the consumption to the network. We know exactly when it's coming from, and so there is no security issues. But it's more or less that the market is not yet ready. The third generation AMR meters are now in the table, and in the previous presentation we were talking about the real-time information, and we also see that that's the key thing. And probably when we think about the next generation or third generation meters, which could be installed in 2020, after 2020, then the world is totally different. Probably it's the basic need that we have real-time consumption information, real-time production information, and everything is real-time, not that it's 2 or 1 day old. But then some slides also for the how we see the this was the customer benefits, but now we are talking about the benefits from the DSO. In 2002, we started to invest heavily to our IT systems. And the first one was the new SCADA system and new DMS, distribution monitoring system. And we see that that's more or less the foundation of the whole smart grid development from the DSO perspective. That's the way how we communicate with the network. That's the system how we used our network automation. After that, we had a lack of network automation. And of course, we had to invest. We invest 4 to 5 years heavily in the overhead lines and the automation of overhead line network. And there we get quite good benefit out. But then there's a question about the field communication, how we communicate with our network. We found out that our present communication channel methods were not efficient and reliable as they should. And we developed a new way in 2010. And it's actually based on this satellite communication. For AMRDMS integration, this means that we use AMR data and connect that to distribution monitoring system data. There I have one slide, but I think this is quite a unique way to monitor the network. And then, as I said, we are a rural area company. We have challenges in the future where we put our focus is when the cabling increases, we also have to increase the automation in cable networks and also low voltage networks. But in general, we could say that this smart grid development, it's not a revolution, it's an evolution. And it's an evolution to develop the DSO business more efficient way. Yeah, and here I have, in the end of my presentation, I have a few slides about the cases, what we have done. So the online reporting, we established hourly values for all our customers. We started this in 2010, and we weren't sure if there's a need for that. But at the moment, we have over 45,000 visits per month in that service in peak months. I mean, from December to March, which is the most electrical heating time in Finland. So there's a very big need for our customers to monitor their loads and understand their consumption. And if I think about in DSO business perspective, this has been the business case for us. We struggled in former times discussing with customers that they do not understand the consumption of the consumption in electricity invoice. Now we make it transparent and they can see how it has been formed and in which hour customer has consumed and how much. The second case story here is the network losses. I think it was a previous presentation where we mentioned the network losses. We have now started to measure network losses in hourly level. And thanks for AMR meter, it's possible to do that. This has been this is very new thing for us, but it already from this first 6 months what we have done has shown that there are some mismatch in the present system. What comes to how the load are profiled based on a curve, how the formula, how we calculate the losses, how is that formed, and what kind of effect that might have in, for example, the supplier of last resort who takes the final risk in their balance. So we have started now to measure in hourly level, and we purchase now all the losses in hourly level. And for the interest to say that the way how we calculated before, the losses were between 3.8 to 4.1% yearly. The first 6 months indicates that this formula, what comes to the energy, is quite close. The measured losses are 3.9%, so the deviation is quite small. But the beef is in how the energy is allocated between the different hours, because we know that the electricity is priced based on spot price, hourly price. So if we have a mismatch there, it's somebody takes the financial risk out of it. So now we have, when we use this measured information, the risk is in DSO side and not in the retailer. The second case is the AMRDMS integration. I think this is one of those biggest benefits what we have gained using the AMR information and connecting that to some other system and get the benefit out of it. This means that we use the meter information in our distribution monitoring system. When we have an outage, we can get the information from each single meter if they're alive or not, or if there's some zero fault occurred or something else. So basically, we are monitoring the whole our asset base. Traditionally, we monitored in this 20 kV level, as previous speakers show. But now we are monitoring the whole 62,000 kilometers of our network. We can shorten our outage duration, and we can prove the efficiency. When we have fixed the 20 kV level, we can check the 0.4 kV level network behind it and see if there's any 0.4 kV level faults. We can improve our customer service. We reduce the unnecessary visits to customer site. At least in Finland, this is a topic that customer might have their own fuse blown, and they call us and say they don't have electricity. We can check the basic data from the meter, and if everything is okay for our side, we can then tell that, okay, it seems that it's in your network, not in our network. And we improve safety. As I said, that we get the alarms from the meter from zero contactor fault, or in general, we see that there is a normal outage. We know that. Okay, and the last case story here is this outage information via SMS services or in a web. As I said, this was the service that it has a little bit neutral received from the customer, but at the moment it seems that this has been very good service to launch. For example, one of our big municipality customer told that it's very easy now when they get the information of every these sewage pumping places, if they have outage or not. And that has also improved their efficiency. So I see that this is a good story, that if we can develop the smart grid so that it benefits also for the end customer, we have a possibility to do much more than just the way that regulator will change the regulation model that gives some kind of incentive to us to work. And the last slide here is just a summary of what I said, but the smart grid today, it's the evolution from the previous days. And of course, we cannot say that we have a smart grid ready, but it's on the way. And intelligence of the network is already quite high if we just use all the information what we have there. And that's why we need the systems what the previous presentators presented. So, yeah, that was the story. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ville. Are there any questions from the floor? There's a question back there.
You said 45,000 customers looking at their consumption data every month. Have you done any research to find out why they're doing that, what they're looking for, what they like about it, what the reasons for doing that are?
We have some investigations, and it seems that there is also a market for this smart home development. They are actually looking that when there is a big what's the word for that? When, for example, in the winter, when you have a cold period, it's for electrical heater, it's very valuable information that how much they consume, because the next invoice might be quite high. So they try to adapt their consumption. And probably this is a first step for that we could actually steer the loads in a most efficient way.
I think we can take another short question. There's over there.
You said your distribution management system is optimized by using the smart meters at home. Did I understand it correct?
Sorry, I didn't.
Your distribution management system uses the smart meters at home?
Yeah, the distribution management system is connected to information from the AMR meters. So during the outage situation, we get some information from the meter directly to the distribution management system, where we can make our estimation where we have a faults. And
so it's the AMM that collects the data and then forwards it to your distribution management system?
No, it's direct connection from the meter in outage situation.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think we had quite a good morning session so far. Thank you, first of all, very much again to the speakers. I think we heard from Marina now about the transformation of the consumers. We heard from Linda about the transformation of the IT systems. Andreas spoke about the transformation, about the smart grids and all the complexity that we get with the virtual power plants and distribution automation. And now we heard also about the transformation within the utility, based on the smart metering technology. So I think it was quite an interesting morning session. Thank you very much, everybody. We'll meet again after a short coffee break here at 11. And you have another opportunity to meet up with the speakers at 12 when we have the Q&A session, where all the speakers, both from this morning session and the second session after the coffee break, will meet again. Okay, thank you very much.